7:43 a.m. A mobile launcher on the Iranian coastline fires. Just 4 seconds later, aboard the USS Thomas Hudner, the spy on radar lights up with a track that freezes the entire combat information center. Not because 4 seconds is fast, it is, but because what the operators are seeing on the screen looks nothing like a real target they've ever encountered outside a training simulation. The contact is accelerating past Mach 5, and still climbing. It's not following a standard ballistic arc. It's maneuvering, actively adjusting its trajectory in real time. Tiny course corrections, almost invisible. But at these speeds, even the smallest correction is enough to destroy every intercept calculation the system can produce. The tactical action officer, Lieutenant Commander James Okafor, studies the track for exactly 1 second. Then he understands. Iran has just launched a FATA, and he has 4 minutes and 30 seconds to stop something that was engineered for one purpose: to be unstoppable. The FATA is Iran's first true hypersonic missile. In its terminal phase, it reaches Mach 13 times the speed of sound. That's roughly 400 meters per second. At that speed, interception stops being a technological problem. It becomes a problem of brutal physics. To destroy the target, an SM-6 interceptor must arrive at the exact point in space where the missile will be at the exact moment of detonation. Against subsonic or even supersonic missiles, this is a solved problem. The Aegis combat system can predict their path with remarkable accuracy. But the FATA does not fly a predictable path. It carries a maneuvering re-entry vehicle, a warhead capable of changing direction during its descent, making subtle corrections that invalidate any intercept solution the instant it is calculated. By the time an SM-6 arrives where the missile was supposed to be, the missile is already somewhere else. Trying to intercept it is like trying to catch a bullet that can dodge. At 7:44, Okafor gives the order. Weapons free. The Aegis system begins calculating an intercept. 2 SM-6 missiles launch from the destroyer's forward vertical launch cells at 7:44:22. The computer predicts the missile's terminal point and assigns the interceptors. At 7:45:41, the first SM-6 reaches the intercept point. The FATA isn't there. It has corrected its course by 1.8 degrees, a change invisible to the naked eye. But at Mach 13, that tiny adjustment translates to hundreds of meters of displacement in just a few seconds. The SM-6 detonates in empty air. The second interceptor launches on an updated solution seconds later. The missile adjusts again, 2.1 degrees this time. Another miss. 2 SM-6 interceptors. Zero effect. The target continues inbound. At 7:46, the ship's phalanx fuse activates automatically. This is the destroyer's last conventional line of defense, a 20mm Gatling gun, capable of firing 500 rounds per minute. It has destroyed dozens of incoming missiles in real combat. But against a hypersonic target moving at Mach 13, it's almost useless. The engagement window is 0.8 seconds. At that firing rate, the system can put about 60 rounds in the air before the missile passes through the engagement zone. The fire control computer calculates the probability of a hit. 3.2%. Phalanx fires anyway, because it has no other option. 60 rounds tear into the sky and miss. The FATA keeps coming. Time to impact, 41 seconds. Lieutenant Commander Okafor is a third-generation naval officer. But more importantly, 3 years earlier at the Naval War College, he wrote a 47-page thesis about exactly this situation. A maneuvering hypersonic warhead defeating conventional, layered defenses. And now, with 41 seconds remaining, the theoretical solution he wrote in that paper is the only option left. He grabs the intercom. Gun control, listen carefully. I need proximity air bursts in a corridor. Bearings 031. Altitude 800 feet. Continuous fire. Maximum rate. Do it now. The order makes no conventional sense. The ship's Mk-45 5-inch naval gun is designed to attack ships and shore targets, not missiles. But Okafor is not trying to shoot the missile down with a direct hit. He is trying to do something never attempted in operational naval warfare. He is trying to build a wall. A proximity fuse 5-inch shell detonates when its sensor detects a solid object within roughly 15 meters. When it explodes, it throws thousands of steel fragments outward at speeds exceeding 1,500 meters per second. One explosion creates a lethal fragmentation sphere. But one sphere isn't enough. The Mk-45 can fire 20 rounds per minute. And if those shells are timed perfectly, each exploding at the exact altitude and bearing where the missile must pass. They don't create one explosion. They create a corridor, a column of overlapping fragmentation bursts, a wall the missile has to fly through. The gun crew aboard the Thomas Hudner has a combined 47 years of experience with the Mk-45. Chief gunners make Marcus Webb programs the fusing parameters in 11 seconds. At 7:46:31, the gun begins firing. Proximity fused rounds. Bearing 31. Altitude 800 feet. 10 seconds of continuous fire. 200 shells arc into the sky, forming a 40-meter wide, 200-meter-long corridor directly in the missile's path. At 7:46:44, the Theta enters the corridor. At Mach 13th, it crosses that 200-meter space in 0.045 seconds. In that fraction of a second, the missile passes through 17 overlapping airburst detonations. The first 6 explosions miss. The 7th burst sends fragments into the missile's left guidance fin assembly. 4 pieces of steel punch through the housing at more than 800 meters per second. The fin isn't destroyed, but it's crippled. 2 control surfaces are shredded. The actuator for a third is severed. The missile's guidance system detects the imbalance and tries to compensate. But at Mach 13th, the aerodynamics are unforgiving. The missile begins to yaw, then spin. Control is lost. At 7:46:52, the Theta slams into the surface of the Arabian Gulf at a 67-degree angle, 194 meters off the destroyer's port bow. The warhead detonates on impact. A column of water shoots 60 meters into the air. The shockwave slams the destroyer hard enough to knock 2 sailors off their feet. Windows shatter along the port bridge wing. A small fire breaks out in a storage compartment after a fragment penetrates the hull. The fire is extinguished in 4 minutes and 17 seconds. No fatalities. 3 sailors treated for minor injuries. The USS Thomas Hudner remains fully operational. Okafor picks up the internal line to the captain and reports in 11 calm words. Threat defeated. Fire on port side under control. 3 casualties, non-critical. Then he turns to the electronic warfare officer and asks the only question that matters now. Where did it come from?